Hey, welcome back everyone to Game Day Esports. I'm Mark, joined by the amazing T-Bone. This is episode technically number 2. We've got loads to talk about. I feel like it's been ages since we spoke, but it really hasn't. We did put it back a week. Why? Because we have the last chance. We kind of wanted to get out of the way. Before we get into PEC, though, we actually have had a lot of news happen within the sort of PUBG scene, and I think it's worth us kind of going through a few bits and pieces. I think we need to talk about TPP, which I know is not the favourite topic, everyone, but I do think we need to talk about TPP, and then we just got the rest of the show to talk about PEC, PAS, and whatever it might be. Cool. So let's start with a couple of things. Obviously, there's I suppose the best place to start. Global partner teams. Global partner teams have been announced, right? That is now all done, dusted, confirmed. And I think for me, the major shock for me for this one was when we first saw it, there was no FaZe. FaZe was not to be anywhere. I was shocked, personally. Is it warranted? Don't know. I think I had a lot of questions around it personally to start with. We can talk about how their performance in PEC in a bit, because I think that is obviously a result. Was you surprised to see us lose a slot?
Honestly, no. I was not surprised to see FaZe disappearing, basically. From the list, obviously, it's pretty evident that there's no, I would say, performance-based, really. Maybe it's like 10% of the criteria now. So missing FaZe, they don't really make any content. No YouTube, nothing really, content-wise to pump PUBG. So I wasn't really surprised at all, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know if there was a performance metric or the metrics of doing it. It must be relationship driven, because you do question some of these teams. You're like, hold on, like, are you there because you're maybe the only region or strong enough org in the region that can warrant a spot?
I think it's just honestly relationship and size of org, and honestly how much content you produce. That's probably mostly. That's from my point of view, from looking out in, is what I feel. So
when we saw it announced, obviously. We was missing a slot, right? So we have Na'Vi, we have Twisted Minds in our region, right, which is all good. And obviously FaZe was the third. And then it was like, oh my God, that means we've got an extra slot now for the opportunity to go to LAN. And then suddenly, out of Korea came, one of the slots has now gone to another team. I was like, another region. I was like, oh my God, does that mean we still only got 2 slots, but we're down a global partner team? Yet we're then putting one of the global partner teams to a regional partner team. Which we can obviously bring up on screen in a second. I was worried, but obviously that's all gone. We now know at the past. My initial reaction was, again, worried for our region because I felt we lost a global partner team. And at the time, I also felt we potentially lost a slot.
Honestly, I was pretty scared about that too, but luckily we still got 3 open spots.
Yeah.
So that's
3 plus the 2.
Yeah, 3 plus the 2. Obviously, Twisted Minds had to have kept it. Na'Vi did win 2022, right? PGC, so understandable. They do also make YouTube videos, and I guess they post on Telegram and all that stuff as well. So it kind of makes sense, them too.
Yeah, again, we don't know the metrics, right? We don't know the metrics. No reason why they're ever question Twisted Minds, to be fair. Back to back. I think they are due a PGC blessing.
They are due a win sometime.
They are unbeatable. But yeah, it is a strong lineup for the global partner teams. Obviously, they've got bypass ticket instantly to land, so you're going to expect to see all those teams going to be going there. And then obviously we've got the regional partner teams. I think it's good for us now to talk about FaZe, because FaZe is not a global partner team, which means they don't get the automatic invite, but they're a regional. So they're like for Esports, you will come in at a group stage. You don't have to do the qualifiers. But that's really different from FaZe. They've got to change about how they operate, because they can't operate the same way they did last year.
It's going to be interesting to see how they perform. Obviously, when this episode comes out, the groups have already been done and dusted, and they played pretty good, honestly. They went straight through the uppers. So
first game win.
Yeah, first game win. They won a game. They played pretty well, so we're going to see in the finals how they perform. Obviously, they've got to come top 3 now, right? So there's no coming 8th place like they have before and going to LAN. Confidence-wise, is a bit like a massive difference, right? So it's going to be interesting. We'll see how they perform and see how it goes for them, I guess.
Yeah, FaZe, I do want to pick that up later. There's a lot more to unpick around that. Yeah. But they are playing well. I'll give them that. But I think needed. So yeah, so global partner teams, no surprises. realistically. I think a lot of it's region-based. Love to know the metrics of why these teams are being selected.
The one surprise for me is Gen G still being there. I really think that's the one team on that list that should not be there under any circumstances. Everyone else, I could make a case for. E-Arena, massive. They played well. Expendables, obviously, good PGC run. 17, massive. They have always done good in globals. Navi 2022. 4AM, one of the biggest orgs ever in the world, so kind of understandable, although didn't
performance so not great.
But Gen G, literally terrible performance. Like, literally worst of the worst.
And we spoke about this in the last episode. I was shocked about the roster they picked up as well.
Yeah.
So I thought
not a star roster, right?
One to watch. Team Falcons, definitely worth mentioning. Obviously, Sonics had folded. We spoke about this in the last episode. There's no surprise that they got a global partner. You pick up Tigleton. It's kind of like you pick him up, you get the secure badge.
Guaranteed, for sure.
Yeah. So interesting. Like it. I don't think there's much else really to be said on it.
No.
But yeah, there are global partner teams now, obviously coming forward this year. So they are obviously going to secure their spots. They've got the 4 lands. They've got to get their points on the board. Look, they're going to perform. They're going to perform. I think more than others. But from a recap point of view, look, we've had changes. Gen G, obviously we've got the T1, we've got DK. We could go through the BB Monodoc pickup as well. I think we're better off catching that a bit later because as much, and we can post links in the description for all the roster change if you haven't missed it. A lot of it is on Twitter. We've got all of it logged and secured. I think the biggest one for our region is obviously GK, New Org being picked up, picking up obviously the team that we saw, which was BST. We can talk about them because obviously they're going to be a big topic around PEC, and the same with BB. Let's talk fun section. No, the new section. Let's talk obviously TPP. TPP is going to be a interesting topic of conversation because after recording this episode, we have done 1 day of the TPP event, the PPT. Actually, the second day is tonight, so we are back on cast tonight. So let me talk about actually how it's been pitched to us from a talent point of view, and it'd be good to get your idea of actually from a player's point of view. I think there'll be elements that we might not agree and disagree about how it plays, which I think is great, and I think we do need to talk about how much chat is talking about it as well. So let me kick off. So look, from my side of things, I like the idea that PUBG is bringing more to the table. There's more money for players to make from an event point of view, which I think is really, really good. And look, I can't confirm these facts. But I've had these from several different people, and I've had the same numbers multiple times as well. 85% of people are playing TPP. 15% of people are playing FPP.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge.
Yep, it's in that range somewhere. I've always heard 75 to 85. Mostly Asian players, obviously. All of them are playing TPP. They like the skins. They like that sort of game style. So this whole thing does make sense. I'm not going to mock them, even though I don't really like playing it. It does make sense. Obviously, the prize pool, as you mentioned, is actually bigger than the FPP this year. Massive. Like, way bigger online. Obviously, not including the PGSs. So that's obviously a bonus. It's a shame we didn't have this stuff earlier. That's what I can say.
Yeah, so they select to us as the gateway. It is the gateway between casual to esports, and this is meant to sit somewhere in the middle. So if this number's all right, if there is 85% of people playing on TPP, they have an opportunity to play something a little bit more competitive than what they're playing at the moment, but not quite to the level that we see with like an esports, FPP, like PGS, PEC, PS, etc. Right? So I like that. I do like that. And then I think you touched on a really good point, which I think is going to be undersold to a degree. Skins. PUBG is making a lot of money for selling skins, especially out in that sort of Asia market, right?
Yeah.
If they can transition even a small percentage of people in the Western market from an FPP to a TPP, then the skin sales should increase. And I'd love to then start seeing for esports club bar, like we've already got the Navis, we've got Sonics, bless them, God rest their soul, we've got their skins. Just in mind, I'd love to see more people and more teams have the opportunity to have skins in game. And I think, again, it could be that gateway to that.
I don't necessarily agree with that because I think they would have added them skins regardless. But I think that all they're doing with this is just gauging. They're gauging the level of interest, the level of viewership in the EU, or Asia in general, and then they're just gonna say, okay, guys, we're switching.
So you made bold statements last time. You said next year is going to be TPP only.
I think so. As long if their metrics are fine in the tournaments and the online viewership's fine, and they don't care about the EU, whatever. Like all these partner teams are going to play anyway. They're getting paid to be a partner, global partner. They get to all the lands. They're going to play TPP regardless. I think they're just honestly right now they're just gauging the interest, how it's all going to work out viewership wise, and then they're just going to go, let's switch.
Looking at the Twitch numbers, right? Looking at Twitch numbers, we had more people watching the EU TPP event than the PAS Last Chance qualifiers. The numbers are still bigger. Overall watch. So people going back and watching the VODs. Maybe that is what they are watching.
That is what they're watching, 100%. And I think, honestly, it's not a bad idea. But I think FPP
more competitive.
Was always... they rooted it for it to foul is the best way I can play it. Because why haven't we had FPP, this scrims? Why haven't we had the all of that schedule in the FPP for the last 3 years? Do you know what I mean?
I do think they're still missing a trick. I do think it needs to be in the UI for it to be successful.
It does. It does need to be. Yeah.
People have to sign up in the week for that best of 3.
Yep, I agree.
In the UI, and I think until that kind of happens, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. With the formatting. I'll bring the format up anyway.
Bring the format up.
But obviously we've done week 1, so we're in this sort of best of 3. We've done that green bit there. We have our top 8 teams obviously join the invited teams. You're one of the invited teams, right? And we are now in a best of 8, which again is different formatting. Best of 3 for scrims and a best of 8 for a day, times obviously over the 2 days. That also is very different. That's very console-like. Console play best of 4 daily, which, again, would I prefer the additional 2? I just would, personally. I think 6 games feels about right, but then maybe I've had best of 6 a day drummed into me for so long now.
I'm actually fine with it. I'm fine with the schedule. I'm fine with everything they've done with this. I actually think if this was brought into FPP years ago, our scene would have been so much bigger. So I'm actually fine with everything. I think everything is pretty good. The scrims into the invited teams and the top 8, and then into what they're calling a player masters or super cup. Not sure what really that means.
So I do. So I can't say too much, but I am going to be the face for a partial of this, and there will be a face for another part of it. So I can cover any of the scrims if I want to go. Obviously, you've already seen myself and Carl will be covering the EMEA region for the player cups, which is great. We're really excited. I'm super pumped to work with him. Never worked with him before. He's got such a huge brain when it comes to PUBG. And then I'll be covering your super cups. So the players masters are the invited champions of the super cups. So we're going to see the super cups done. And then the player masters is, let me scroll down because it is here as well. I'm not leaking anything out. It is a little bit up. Where's here you go. So it is the top teams that are going through. Player Masters, there's your Super Cup or Masters, there's the dates. Obviously, if you notice, the Masters dates are there, and there's the first event, which there's 2 sets. And the prize pool for them, I thought they had it on here, I think is 20,000 USD. So again, not as big as a PEC or a PAS, but still a good chunk of money
per region as well. That's what I mean. Like they are committing to this. They are funding it. They're putting a lot of money into slowly that transition this year, and that's partly why I think they are going to be switching.
I think though this could work.
I think it's
in
good.
FPP as well. They could replicate this and do this at FPP.
If this was an FPP, it would have been massive. That's what I mean. Like if they would have started this stuff years ago, this is a really good setup. That everything about this is I can't say more. It's just great. It's really good. I personally think it's a good format. Everything about it is great.
Additional games to the
because
FPP.
something I wanted to talk about is as well. Like we actually played 15 game days. In EU, 15 for the whole year if you don't make PGS.
Yeah, that's too low.
15, and I think in Asia they've already played maybe 50.
Yeah, well, we've got PCL 40. On at the moment, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
We've got PWS, we've got loads on at the moment. So There is a big disparity, and I think this is why this is the transitional piece.
Yeah.
But I know you're adamant. That it's gonna.
I think so. Honestly, this is a transition year. I'm seeing. I really do feel like they're going to change.
I can see it.
But obviously, we've had 4 games, and my perspective so far, it isn't that bad. I hate playing TPP. Don't get me wrong. I personally think it's boring. You're pro and you're looking over walls. You know, you can just stand up and just kill someone for free. It makes the circle luck 200 times, more advantageous.
So let's deep dive into this a bit, because
okay.
from a caster's point of view, the players that had come through the scrims got the circles every single time.
Yep.
I don't think that's luck. I think it's a change of tactic. I think they are sending it. I feel like it's OG. I think their zone pops and they're sending to centre zone.
Yeah, honestly, that probably is true. But then you can go back and say, is that still luck? Because you can go circle to middle, sit in a compound, no one can breach you, you can see everything. You won't lose your helmet, your vest, because no one has to peek. You can just prone behind a window or a wall, and then you just stand up, have everything endgame.
It is difficult. And we saw some of that. We talk about you peeking. We saw some of that. Fairy Tale, and I can bring it up if we want to, but we had Fairy Tale holding a compound, and Na'Vi changed how they played. Normally, they'd send their car in, or 2 cars, or they'd have 3 and an anchor. This time they had 2 anchors and 1 guy driving in and 1 guy ready to go. They baited the shot. I can't remember who it is. I can find it. But they baited the person, and they felt someone was looking at them. They drove the car to the compound, held 2 anchors. The guy came out from the standing behind the wall. They then shot him, and then they crashed the compound.
Yep.
So I think the game's going to develop. I do think, and this is not anything down towards the FPP players, because I think you guys play at a completely different level, and more importantly, caveat, this is a very different game. I feel like TPP and FPP are different games. I do think there are going to be hybrid players. I think we're going to have really good TPP and FPP players. I think we're going to have some outstanding FPP players, and we're going to have some outstanding TPP players. But I am really interested to see who finds the tricks of the trade. You're talking about in the car on the way here, like being able to stand in the smoke and launch out nades to people. Like they're going to be the hybrid type of players that are going to do really well in both formats.
Yeah, I agree. Well, like Pixel, he's like really good. He knows all the little tricks, smoking your car, crouching on top of the bonnet, shooting people straight through. Obviously, the shooting's the same. So you're always going to have people like for example, absolutely lasering people, TPP or not. It's just when the close quarter fights come in, and then you're not peeking, but you're around the window, because you can just see them run into you. You don't have to play off sound anymore. It's totally different.
It is a different game. And we saw it actually quite a bit. We saw 2 things. We saw people peeking. So as they peek out, they zoom in, so it goes to the FPP mode. We also saw people peeking, and then they lined up their dot to where they wanted to shoot. Then they swapped to FPP, and then they peeked.
Yep. So, or you just pre-fire, right? Because you can see them, you can just start shooting before. Exactly.
As a caster, it is very different to cast, especially when I've had so many reps doing FPP now. The games are different. The hot drop on Yaz is not going to be the hot drop I'd expect from an FPP world. No. It's going to be a lot slower. So I think even down to observing is going to be different. The production, so who's actually heading up where the observers are going, the casters, the desk, it is going to become its own unique game.
It's all based on util hot drops.
100%.
More or less. You pretty much impossible to push a building. It's all util based, so that's what we're going to see in close quarter fights and whatnot. Obviously, it's going to be messy if say we had the Go Doc ending TPP. That is going to be crazy to watch.
But we had 11 teams, 12 teams, even more, even 13 teams in PEC actually was in Go Doc. If that was TPP, you'd have more, but more would be alive for longer.
Yeah, and it'd be less surprises. Yeah, it gets. I don't know. It would just be mayhem right at the end, which I don't know how fun that is to watch, but we'll have to wait and see. I guess.
Fun to cast. I will say that I think you're right. That the meta for me, it feels like at the moment is util. You don't need to take as many bullets. If you put more util in your back pocket,
you just take nades,
and then blue zone nades. I think going to be massive as well.
You sit in your smoke. You look over the top of it, and then you nade someone.
Or bunny hop in it. And I love this scene of people just jumping outside the smoke the whole time. Which actually, I can't remember who it was, but actually went against him because the turtle fast saw his little head jumping out the smoke every time. So I'm really interested to see how it unfolds personally. But I want to be really clear from my side, it is its own game. And if it is right, if there are 85% of the player base then the expectation for me when it comes down to PUBG is they are going to draw in a new audience to come and watch it. Or their thought process is that.
I don't think it's a new audience. I just think that they want to tap into the 85%, which have never really been involved too much because they're like FPP. I don't want to play it.
And they wouldn't watch it on Twitch either, right? So then they're not the people watching it on. They're not the people watching PGSs. They're the people not watching.
It's the Chinese players, and so they're not even on the metrics on Twitch and stuff like that, right?
I'm really intrigued. I'd love to know what the split of that 85%. If that number is right, I don't know.
It's going to be. I reckon it's 75 to 85 for sure.
I'd love to know what the Western count is. I'd love to know what
Really
these numbers were.
Really
Do you think? I reckon we'd be surprised, you know.
I reckon that Western probably plays 65 to 70% FPP, and I reckon that Asian players
Still a
play.
big count though. TPP.
Yeah, I reckon that Asian players play 75 to 95%
That is mad.
TPP. Yeah.
Look, don't get me wrong. Like I've been obviously because part of casting, like you have to. My thought process, you have to know the game. You have to play the game, right? So my logic is I've been playing TPP. I'm terrible at it. I am still trying to learn how to peek over the ridges without. And more importantly, because I go instantly into FPP naturally, I have to figure out how to go back to TPP and to play. But I never have more than a minute wait time. Never have more than a minute. It's you're straight into games every single time. And I think that was the biggest shock for me. Duo or squad feel, I'm in a game within a minute.
Insta queues. I agree with you on that.
I'd love to know numbers. Yeah, that's it really for me from TPP. Anything else you want to add to it?
All I say is that just playing it, we played 4 games. We actually did all right. It was like 4th place or something.
We can look at the leaderboard if you want. I've got it.
I'd say it's easier to play if you get circle. Like some of them games, I was just chilling behind a rock. Like no one could come close to me, and then I was just killing them.
Big statements, mate. Big statements. Yeah. I felt I don't want to use the word trolling because sometimes that's seen as misleading.
We was trolling.
You was having fun. Like I generally felt like, especially in that Tego game, it was just you up, and you was just having a laugh, and like people were coming towards you. You was holding off VP by yourself. You was in this little bowl crater. Eventually, Ibby did push you away. I think it might have been Ibby that took you out logically because he replaced you. But yeah, it was just good fun. It was really good fun to watch. Yeah, you guys currently sitting in 4th place at the moment. Obviously, we're best of 4. Navi are at the top. They've got some really good zone luck. Slam G, obviously we know the roster in and out. They played really well. Yep. Really, really well. But even some of the other teams, like for me, like Dodge, they had the compound for quite some time. They found compounds. That's why they've got quite a large number of placement points. Ascend, I feel like they struggled a little bit on that rotation. They got caught out. Same with Bushido, same with BB. I think for me, that section is about learning how the game. You, Gaming Gladiators, Navi, either trolling.
We're trolling a little bit, but we got Pixel who absolutely loves TPP, so he's just giving us all the tips and tricks, you know what I mean?
We need to get him on one of these, mate. We need to dial him in.
But he loves it.
We need to get Pixel's top takes for TPP. So we got 4 matches today. I'd be interested to see who takes home the cash prizes, should we say. Cool. There's that bit done. Dusted. Easy. TPP, no more. Let us know what your thoughts are, though, on TPP. Like it, hate it, indifferent, played it. Let me know. Really interested. Just, again, comments below. And I appreciate there's a lot of comments in chat, which is, I'm not supporting TPP. I think it is just a mindset for me. I think TPP, for me, is a gateway. If it goes beyond the gateway, obviously, I might have to readdress that. But you are adamant it's not going to be a gateway and it's going to become the main thing.
The recommendation from me, if you're a player and you want to go pro, start playing that TPP. Start grinding TPP, guys. At least 50% of your game should be TPP from now on. That's all I'm saying. Interesting.
And you haven't got long to wait in queue.
Yeah.
Fact. Let's talk about the main event. The main topic, though, and we've got to talk PEC. I think we can touch on a bit of PAS. We can talk about the other regions as well.
Yeah.
But I do want to talk PEC. PEC groups. We went through the qualifiers. Qualifiers were mental. There's a few surprises for me coming through qualifiers that I would have thought maybe got a bit further or maybe got to the next round, but they didn't quite get there. But we ended obviously with the groups. Now, I made some big shouts about the Myth-Off making it through. Yes, they made it through. I also made a big shout about Secure Sensen potentially getting there, but they didn't. Talk me through groups, because groups was one of the lowest thresholds we've seen in a while.
Yep.
What I mean by threshold, guys, is obviously the point of which you qualify. We're looking for a top 8 only to go through to the grand final. The others get a second chance. T-Bone got 2 opportunities to get through the grand final. But obviously, we're looking for a top 8. But it was the first time that we really saw a tight point gap. So just talk me through the sort of the quality, the level that we've got out in the EMEA region at the moment, because it's tough. It's honestly tough, mate.
I would say that this year is the most competition with the most like really good teams. Basically, I really think the level of gameplay and just average team level in EMEA at least is super high. You can go through this list, for example, and all the way to maybe, Bushido, After All are excellent teams.
Yeah, I thought After All would have done well, and we'll talk about them again in the last chance. But again, they just didn't perform at this stage. And this is the first stage really where the game changes again for me. Open qualifiers is a bit Wild Westy. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to try to fight your way through. This is the first place where you guys, for those who don't know, there's like discords around where they kind of agree where they're going for drop spots. It doesn't mean it's solid. People will drop on other people. But there's a gentleman's agreement to a degree where we tell everyone where we're going. So yes, we have the scrims, and scrims are very different. But there's an agreement kind of at this stage where actually we know roughly where all the teams are going, give or take. It might unfold a bit differently. But it was the last couple of games. Like Gaming Gladiators topping the group is insane. I think that's definitely worth a talking point. They done really well through open qualifiers. They would give or take the tops most of their stages. But they did perform here as well. They had a bit of a rough, bumpy stage, but they closed out 50 placement points, 68 kills. Like they are one of the highest placement point teams that we've got out there at the moment. Is that zone luck that you talk about? Is that them just finding their way in?
I don't know. They just seem to be insane. That's all I can say right now. I'm not going to say why they're insane, but they just seem to just win every situation. They know where everyone is. Great map knowledge. That's all I'll say on it.
They just get placement points. How many wins did they actually bag in the end? 1, 2, 3 wins.
They really they've 3 wins. Yeah. They really do play where the circle ends, but they just kill everyone.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
The biggest one when we talk about placement points for me is BB. BB didn't make it in, and it came down to the last game. But how do you bag 2 wins and still don't qualify? I think this just screams to again the level. Look at that. Obviously top 8, right, guys? So obviously WLA and above got a secured ticket to the grand finals. But from BB team down, they had to go to the last chance, which we'll come into in a second. But 74 points. That is insane. You guys were on 74 points as well. Highest killer of the group. BB team, though, bagged 32 points on placement. How?
They won 2 games, obviously, and they just had really rough games otherwise. I don't know what it is with BB, but they seem to get incredible circle luck, and then they close them games out because they're really good at closing out circles like that. But then some of the games where they don't get circle, really rough. 1 point, 2 points.
They put some insane miles on. We was laughing in production chat that they double 20% more than any other team when it comes down to driving. The start of the group stages for them, they spent more time driving in the blue than any other team. They were kind of bouncing around the zone, which happens, right? So they didn't quite get the circle up, but they still was able to get placement points on and get wins, but yet still to qualify. And it did come all down to that last game. I think Will or Die had the potential to go through as well, but they didn't quite close out to how they should have done. They did get a massive jump at the end, but they left it a little bit too late. Will or Die for me, they performed on 6 games, not 12 games, right? You guys done arguably okay consistently through the groups. You had a couple of bad games.
We had terrible circle luck, and I played terrible, which didn't help.
That's why we brought you on in.
Yeah. I played really, really bad. Like, honestly, we should qualify even with that bad circles, but I think I had 3 kills or something. Like, it was
more than 3.
No, I don't think I did.
We can put you on blast now, mate. Don't worry. We can tell you what your stats are.
It was really, really bad.
But you gotta remember, it's a team game. There's always someone in the team. Where are you?
5.
5. Yeah, I knew it was 5.
Yeah, but 5 in a best of 12 is horrendous. No. You know what I mean? Like, it's really bad.
Yeah,
I had what I do, I look at the metrics for this. So if anyone's wondering what metrics I look at, you can't really base it on kills because sometimes you just can't get kills. You base it on assists, knocks, and damage.
Yeah.
And if you look, I'm way below all my teammates on all of them, pretty much, apart from assists. So that's what I base my metrics on, and I just played shit.
The biggest telltale sign for me is when you guys dialed in day number 2 and you had that Miramar game, right? And you pushed the hill just sort of northwest of water treatment.
Yep.
And I felt like you should have held the anchor.
Oh yeah,
I bet you guys were so focused on that fight in the compound and pushing, which you won in the end, but then you got rolled from the south. But then you look at some of the other games, you controlled the zone out and you actually had like more than half the zone. And how the hell you guys held it, especially in the last chance qualifiers, the last chance section, is insane. There was something different between you guys on groups and last chance. Like, what was it? What you guys went away reset? Like, you looked at the metrics.
Well, they
and you
played
went, it's all your fault?
and then they had 4-man in last chance. That's basically it. Honestly, like as I said, the circles in this group stage was horrific, really really bad, like so bad. And it's our first official games of the year. Same as BB. That's probably why we saw BB there as well, having rough games. First officials were model locked.
Yeah.
It is a big difference.
It's added pressure.
Pressure. It's just one of them things. It just takes some time.
No surprise at Tunnel Fire's there because they love to do it to the last game antics.
They always do it, the same stuff. Winner Diet, obviously, as you said, they had a few good games, day 2 or whatever it was.
Day one, rubbish result from them. Don't Panic was a shocker for me because they done really well in groups in the EMEA region. This is the first time they come across, obviously, the whole EMEA region. Didn't perform. Just really didn't perform. And a strong roster. Bushido arguably was the same. Secure Center was my 50-50. Like, we could talk about them because there is a lot of topic around them on last chance qualifier, and we can kind of drift into last chance as well. Marslek was dropped on that team after it down to the last day of qualifiers, right? On the last chance.
Yep.
They were doing okay, right? I just feel like they play a bit too aggressive, and it definitely felt like, for me, I don't know if I've got to look at some of their stats, there was no cohesion maybe in the team. Now, it is a newer team. They merge it together, and they always change. As a brand, we know who they are. Himan's always there as well. Marslek, 13 kills here, right? 13 kills in group stage. Performance, though, when it comes on to last chance, something had changed with this team for me. And should they have changed someone? There's an argument either side.
Well,
right?
From my point of view, I'm not in the team, obviously.
It's hard to look from the outside.
So I'm looking from the outside. Obviously, they did choose a new sub. I don't know how you pronounce that. Adel. Maybe?
Yeah, that's how we do
something like that. But they did choose to replace Marslek, and I've seen some of the clips, and it was terrible. Let me just say that. If one of my teammates was doing that, I would remove them, instantly as well. It was really unsportsmanship. Like there was just none. He just refused to jump where they was jumping, for example, if they was fired, etc. So,
do you think that's down to added pressure though? I like Marslek. Mechanically, I think he's good. I think he's a great streamer. I think he's a good content creator. I don't mind him. I think he's a good guy. He just seems to get to this stage and not get any further.
I just think I don't think there's any excuse. I don't know.
I've not seen the clips now. I can't really talk about them. So
I just think he was being an arse.
Yeah, I've not seen them. You've seen them.
Basically.
They put statements out, so you can go check online if needs be. We can link it.
But that's up to them, right? That's their team.
They made the call. They didn't get through on groups. I would like to have seen them get through on groups. I think they're a good team. I'd love to see him and obviously then we could the Mika versus Ascend as well. That would have been a good storyline to unfold. See how they're doing. It's kind of the same feeling I get with Geekay and Navi. Diffix has got a point to prove at the moment. Especially with the new form. But that team should have performed for me. But the pressure here. Grief, Yepa, Balkans, Grocery should have performed, but again, 3 placement points, you're not really going to go through. The kills weren't there. And Digger Esports, they done okay in qualifiers, but not really. And they obviously had internet problems, and they only done the best of 11. But
if for me personally, the only team that is kind of an upset out of this whole list is maybe Ascend.
You think so?
Yeah, who didn't make it to finals.
And you got yourself in there as well. Why do you say that?
Not groups. I mean overall. I mean, look how close the points are. Like this is. It doesn't matter if you come top 8 or bottom 8. You know, I was really surprised to see the Myth up there. They did get insane circle luck where they just a couple of games and they just AFK'd. But they played it good still. You know, so. But overall, you know,
I think it's worth talking about that though,
Yeah.
because they did get a good first couple of games, right? And I think that set the pace that they wanted to play at. I think if they didn't perform in the first couple of games, they could have easily been on this right-hand side, right? Because of the experience, etc. I think the first couple of games really set them up to, okay, people are chasing us now.
Yeah.
So people had to play how they played, and they were lucky enough. I actually thought, and I think I said it on stream, 77 points, I didn't think was going to make it. I actually thought we was going to go, I think an average is 81 points, right? So if 81 points was the average, if you look at both years, last year's PECs, which are difficult, I know, because same different teams and different players, etc. But if you take the average, 77 points shouldn't have allowed the qualification. It came down to the last day, and actually because we saw Don't Panic take a 20-point kill, I think on game, a 20-point game on day number one, on day 2 for them, game number 1, that really upset the cart. And the more that we saw them take points and the win or dies take points, it just really consolidated this sort of grouping down. What BB team needed to do is they needed the Twisted Minds, etc., just to continue to run away with it and just farm as many points. That might have given them a better chance to get in. But they just didn't perform on that last day for me. Like, they done well. They got some circles. It was better than their day number 1 of the groups. But to have 3 teams on 74 points is rough.
Yeah, it's crazy. Open up the last chance. We go through that.
We're going to go for that.
Yeah.
It was even more crazy. I'm not going to lie. Last chance. Look at that. Look at the difference in BB.
Yep. Again, so this is typical. You know, BB had a really good first day, trolled. You know, and they didn't troll. I mean, us, we had a good first day. We trolled a little bit second day. We'll go through that in a second. But again, if we look at this list here, the only upset that for me, again, is Ascend.
But these are all the teams on the left-hand side. And for those that don't know and haven't been following PC, obviously you have qualifiers, you go group stage, and then if you're not in top 8, you go to last chance. Obviously, last chance is obviously where we're at. And then it's obviously we have a best of 12 again, where we then take the final top 8 teams, which will go back to the other team that qualified. So then we get our top 16 for the grand finals, which are happening this weekend. Super pumped. I also pumped some casting as well as doing the desk as well, which I was not surprising. I think, though, for me, Exhalation, Grocery, Bushido, Eternal Fire always find a way. And the last game as well, last game, always the case. You can always count on them, win or die. I would have loved to have seen, for me, I don't think After All performed well in the groups. I don't think they deserved potentially get through. They look very different at the moment. They're a hot and cold team for me personally, especially watching the scrims. Hype Beast, 100%, I think should have been there. Ascend or Secure Ascension. They were the 3 for me that could have gone over.
Yeah.
I think Esports had a good day 1. And that's right on the left-hand side of the table. But they
10 points day
10
2.
points day 2. Yeah, mental.
It's, again, circle luck. Shows you how much circle luck makes a difference in this game. You got Digger Esports, one day they have like 2 or 3 really good circles. They can AFK, you know, play out of position, boost that confidence, momentum's going.
Yeah.
The next day, rougher circles, 10 points.
Yeah.
Same as in the group stage. We'd quickly talk about After All. Obviously, After All, I thought they would actually, you know, do well. But they've not made it and they've disbanded already. Balkan Eagles, as you can see, they only had 6 games. So we actually played 15 teams only the last day.
That brings a different dynamic as well. I think we should
Different
talk
dynamic,
about
yeah.
that. Because
So there's more open space, you know, things are happening, you know, less people are alive. They've also disbanded. So, yeah, interesting.
Creef, outside for me, Yep are the same. Hype Beast, I think, will be disappointed because they played well. And Hype Beast always... And look, big kudos to Hype Beast, all right? Because the year before, they didn't get to the groups, right? They just fell short. This year, they've gone to the groups. Like they're, for me, a team to watch for full, PEC full. I think they will plan to get to groups again. They've got to go for open qualifiers. I'd like them to stick and continue to sort of push forward for that. I'd love to see them get to a grand final because that's the next step for them, get a grand final spot. Ascend.
That's the big talk, right?
Mate, mental. Can we talk about? I want to start backwards first.
Yep.
Actually, I do want to talk backwards. Let's
go back.
Let's go way back in time. I want to talk about, and I'm sorry, PUBG, because I've been clipping all day on thing, and I put them all as Game Day Esports podcast. Hopefully it loads. This I want to talk about. So just pause it for a second. Ascend and Eternal Fire was always going to clash, and this is the last game of Last Chance, right?
Yep.
Currently, as it stands, Ascend just on the outside because Eternal Fire. Ascend were above them coming into this. Eternal Fire killed 4 because they crashed the compound at the top of the hill.
Yep.
And Ascend were playing, I'm going to say passive. And again, some people take it the wrong way. They play like Ascent. They rotated around the outside. They went so far around that they're covering major amounts of miles, all the way from the west, all the way up to the north. And the north came around to this northeast corner where they thought that that compound was safe, but Eternal Fire were here on a split. Mm-hmm. Eternal Fire deleted 3. Brex had to get in the car and he left to this compound. Mm-hmm. I don't think he wanted to stay here, so I'll give him some kudos because he did flip the car a little bit further down the road, and it ended up in the bottom, right? So he kind of got stuck in this compound. I think personally, and I'd love to get your thought process as a player, I think he should have smoked that car and tried to get out, because no matter what happens, Eternal Fire were never going to let him get out of this at all.
There was nothing he could do. I just think he was dead 100%. They would just chase him across the map. Honestly, Eternal Fire will literally just follow them the whole way across the map. Yeah. And it's the right thing to do. That's literally the only team that can pretty much qualify over him. Obviously, you know, if you look at Sakura, they're like 10 points plus behind. So as long as they kill this guy, they're chilling. Yeah. But yeah, like as you said, Ascend, doing Ascend plays, they just wide wrapped around the west side of the circle. Eternal Fire wide wrapped around the east side of the circle. Yeah. And then they just met in the middle and they got wiped.
We can look at it though. We can actually look at it.
I will say it's better for us.
Well, yeah, because look, so for you reading that in the kill feed, right? You're tracking that in the game, right? Yeah. Like, what was the thought process for you boys when you saw Ascend fall?
So Eternal Fire, they don't really mess with us, right? They look close to us on Miramar next to Impala, but they don't really mess with us too much. They have been our arch nemesis and made us not go to PGS. Obviously, everyone knows that. Overtook us last game.
It's always last game with them.
Yeah, it is. But you know, they don't have, which I thought was their best player, Ruin anymore. So I think it's, you know, I'd rather not have Ascend in the lobby, basically. And Ascend just does, the best way I can explain this, Ascend just does Ascend things.
They're the only one, and there's a couple of teams, I thought sort of play like them sometimes.
Yeah. I personally think they just do crazy stuff. Right? It don't make any sense, but it's just their way of playing, and it feels like they don't have any game plan, and they just would camp you outside blue circle 1 for no reason. They could have all the space, and they just decide not to. So, you know, they actually camped us in group stage once.
Is there a difference between Ascend with coach and without coach?
No, they pretty much play exactly the same. I feel
same game style.
Yeah, okay. Same messy, random game style.
I think for me, I agree with you how they play, and we'll have a look at it now. I know Karo spoke last year. I can't remember when last year, but he was talking about Ascend, and actually as a coach, one of the difficult things he had was trying to keep the emotion the same. If they're down, bring them up. If they're up, trying to bring them down. And what worries me, if they haven't got someone doing that, what takeaway that they haven't qualified to the final? How does that team come back up? That's my worry point. Let's have a look though. This is game number 6, technically game number 12. No major changes there. Ascend in a normal spot, really. That is a drop spot that they will go for. They like the 4 corners, and Eternal Fire identical, right? At this point, there is no reason for them to clash, right?
Well, something I actually thought on here. I actually really thought there's going to like a long shoot to Milner, but obviously they're tied with Eternal Fire, so they didn't do it.
Yeah, that was a
So don't
question.
Look what we did this game.
Yeah. Well,
don't look what we did this game.
Can put you guys up as if you want. We'll put you guys up there because you went to, and I was calling this in the production. I was like, they don't drop there, and they don't go there. And at this point, I was going, I wonder if they think Ascender there, because you guys were pushing. And look who else came knocking the same way. Mm-hmm. This tells me that not just you and Eternal Fire were looking to close out. Eternal Fire needed a chase Ascend at this point. Yep. And you guys control whoever you wanted to troll. Obviously, both teams realising there's no one up there. But let's make a note. Eternal Fire have played from their normal drop spot, not too far, to go take Ascend. Mm-hmm. And I was in the same thought process, that's where they're going to go. You guys have gone military, there's no hot drop there. You've played towards Ascend, right? Whatever you read in that, that's up to you.
We're sightseeing.
Okay. Ascend have gone for an older drop they've gone for as well, and they've gone for the wider rotation, and they've gone really, really wide. I actually thought they might have clashed with Win or Die up here. I thought this might have been an issue coming over the bridge, but they lucky enough they missed, right? So they've gone for the early rotation. They sat on the outside.
Yeah, but look at this, right? Look what Ascend playing. Look how scared they're playing. Why are they sitting there AFK right now?
They could have gained more
There's
information.
nothing. They are literally doing absolutely nothing there.
For me, why... I can't... I'm not...
They should have the bunker hill.
Here,
They should have the
this hill.
whole hill. They could have had quick math. They could have had so much. They could have started taking the North Rocks above the green team.
Yep.
So they can look into Severny.
That's Grove, I think. I know it's Secure Sense, actually.
There's so much they could have done here, and this is exactly how you cannot play.
So they do start moving in on the zone. I think...
But even if you pause here, right? So anyone was watching this can have a look at this twire, right? This is why this is such a good tool, and we're really happy that it stayed under.
Big shout Sneak.
Yeah, big
Legend.
shout out Sneak. But if you look at this, like anyone can look, how much info can they get from that position? They've got info on maybe like 100, 200 meters around them. They have no split. It's circle one only, so it can go anywhere. You got to remember that. It could even end in school right here.
Yeah.
And they just have nothing. And this is the typical, maybe that's where Koro is missing. They have like scared. It's just
I
scared
thought they would have
gameplay.
gone for the bunker hill. I thought they would have taken some high ground and gone for a 2-2 split. I don't mind 2 sit on the coast. That's okay because they can see down towards Severny, right? But it does come down to the zone shift. Now, it did take them quite a bit of time to go there. And then eventually they go back, right? But they wasted so much time. Lucky enough for them, arguably, lucky enough for them, no one else was pushing at the same time. They didn't get caught in rotation at that point, and they would have been getting the information of teams backfilling them. Zone pops, right? Now, Eternal Fire already... I can drop you guys now. Eternal Fire are already still in transition. They are still moving at the same time. They're still playing, so they don't stop, right? But look how much time it takes now. They set up, Ascend, still not moving. They then stop. They still not moving, and they wait. And this is the problem, I think. If they would have moved sooner, they would have potentially got to free compound. They move really late. They're coming on blue. That's okay. That's a game style as people play. And then the zone pops further afield. Now, unfortunately for them, they choose the rotation round. And lo and behold, they're only going to push into one team. And then that's Eternal Fire. And then, unfortunately, Brex, he gets caught. And that's that car rotation. They were never going to let him go. I agree.
Yeah. But that's the thing, what we just watched there. They could have had all that info. And they could have had the Severny Hill. They could have been seeing people pull up in the warehouse. That is the typical, maybe that where they're lacking with Ko, and that's the random gameplay that no one can expect. You don't expect a team to be sitting circle 2 blue for no reason, zero info. And that's what gets us sometimes, you know. They've killed us many times. We've fought them many times on the edge of the zone, and we're just like, what are they doing?
But yeah, if you look, so Brex didn't really perform day number 1. He did day 2. It's just, yeah. I'm not
I
sure.
like them guys.
I
obviously.
really think they're a cool team. I do really think they're a cool team. I just worry that they leave it all the way to the last minute, and they haven't kind of got the grit that Eternal Fire have got. Eternal Fire find a way in. Every time they find their way in.
They send it. That's the thing. Eternal Fire don't play scared. They just, you
We're
know what,
going.
guys, we're going. And then they just send it in, and somehow they win the fight. You know, and that's sometimes what you got to do.
Let's talk about some other teams. I think that's enough for Send. I'm gutted they're not through, but you're right. They're now going to sit, wait, watch. Maybe they get good
Roster
at TPP.
change, maybe.
Big shout, big shout. I think they need to do something. Yeah, our T-Bone take. Who would you take out?
I probably would split the whole roster.
2-2.
Yeah, maybe.
Who stays with Ascend? Give me the 2.
I think It's Chris is probably their best player. I personally think.
But you've got to be torn between Paints and Killicar, right?
I just think that right now they're just lost with what they need to do. I don't think there's much cohesion is the best way to put it. So I think Chris and Killicar could work well together, and maybe Pains and Braxco. And then they change, you know, the structure, the leadership of the teams.
One to watch. I think.
Yeah,
I
you
think
got to
they
watch.
are.
I don't know anything about that. That's just a pure T-Bone take. Me
T-Bone
waffling.
takes, mate. We love T-Bone takes. I do think they are going to make a change, and that might not be player based. That might be how they work and operate as a unit. We'll see. Let's catch up with some other teams in last chance, right? Bushido. I want to talk Bushido because I quite like this team. Strong team.
Yeah, new team.
Done well. Didn't get through on obviously the groups. Super stacked lineup. I think for me, Metabay played really, really well. 54 kills, insane. They struggled with zone placement.
Yep.
I think part and parcel of that is actually where they're dropping in some hotter places than normal. But actually across the board, if I remember right, Bushido, not too bad. Everyone putting numbers on. Actually, apart from Mebe. For me, though, he was always the anchor player. He's really strong. He seemed to find himself in a really good position every single time. He's got the same numbers as you, mate. But are they a contender for the finals?
It's going to be interesting to see how they, fit in together because it is basically a new lineup. If I had to choose right now, I'd put them bottom 6 finals.
Okay, interesting.
The finals is stacked, so don't get me wrong. Bottom 6. Everyone in the finals in this lobby is by far the best. So I would just randomly put them in bottom 6 right now.
I think Bushido and Exhalation will clash with Drops potentially because they have to. Obviously, they've got to make way for some of the other teams, which is understandable, right? So I kind of put them down there. Grove Street would be a outside bet for me, but they need to perform, and I think they rely on the likes of Seifu, Azu just a bit too much. I do think that as a group, I think the finals will be a bit tough. Eternal Fire, oh my God, they always find a way.
They always find a way. You can't count them out.
Cannot find a reason why they wouldn't get through. Win or Die, for me, the year before were a lot stronger formatted. I don't think they're as strong this year. They deserve a spot in the final. They have the capabilities of getting through.
I think they're really good. I think they're really good or really bad. It's just like in between. Like same as BB. BB are either really, really good or really, really bad.
I think BB are going through.
To qualify?
I think they're going to take a PGS spot.
Yeah, maybe. I will see. Honestly,
Is that them? Is that you or them?
The worst part about all of this so far, I think the teams are all so good now. It really depends on how lucky you are with circles.
Yeah. I can say it's because I'm on the outside. I kind of feel like it's either you or BB team, and it could come down to things like luck or circle. I think so. I think you guys are more creative as a player 4. You are more open. You use the gliders more. They will use the gliders as well. Like you're a creative team. You seem more aggressive than what you was last year. I think that is the additional add with Pixel for me. I definitely feel like that has brought a different dynamic to the team. You just need to get points on.
I think if I can play well, like we're going to be fine.
It's a team sport, mate. It's a team sport.
It's a team sport, but like individually, you have to just play well. You can't qualify. You can't get one of them top 3 positions without playing well. Everyone needs to play good.
Let's take out the global partner team. So no Twisted Minds, no Navi. You can't talk about them now. We're talking finals now, right? Expectations on finals. FaZe Clan. Have they
Top
got
8.
enough desire? Top 8.
I'm not gonna say qualifying or not because it's too random. So I'm gonna just say top 8. I'm gonna say instantly Gaming Gladiators top 8, FaZe top 8. Geek Day is probably top 8. Okay. Us top 8. BB team top 8. That's 6. And then the last 2.
That's 5.
5.
You're not going VP?
VP probably top 8, yeah.
But you weren't going there. Who was you going for then if it wasn't VP?
I was definitely going to put VP in top 8, but like I was thinking like in next Eternal Fire, I'd say
7.
And then the last one is I don't know. The last one's a hard one. I think the last one is pretty mash up, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Win or Die up there.
Yeah, Win or Die probably.
I kind of agree with your top 8. I think it gets harder when you start looking at...
If we want to say top 3, outside, it's hard. I think GG's playing like insane. They just seem to have better knowledge than anyone else.
Okay,
that's one.
Has FaZe shown enough to be a top 3?
It's hard because in group they had a really good day 1, so they had huge.
Yeah, I get the random. Have they done enough though to be a top 3? Is there enough fire now in that team? Because they haven't got an invite. They've got to earn the spot.
I'd say probably BB shows more.
Okay. Who's the third? You guys.
I have to put us.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that. I don't have to do that. I think it's out for me. Your BB team would be 1. Gaming Gladiators would be 2. And then I think it comes down to a 3-way split for me. FaZe, GK, or VP.
Yeah.
And I think the finals are going to be explosive. I generally do.
I think Virtus Pro, it does really well if they have momentum. If they get a good couple of games, they're going to do really well.
That's my thought process. They
but
come
if they start off bad, then they're going to do bad. Like we've seen it before. BB is going to be the same.
Don't get me wrong. I'd love the Myth-Off to be up there.
But GG recently, no matter the circle, they're always just getting points. They're just winning games. They're just constantly where the circles end in. And they just,
Don't get me wrong. WLA, the Myth-Off, I'd love them to be up there. I can't see it. This is a very, very stacked lineup. I actually think we arguably have the best top 16 teams. Minus the sense.
I just want to say something. I watched NA the other day, and it was just like horrific compared.
I think there's still a point gap between NA. There's still a big difference. Like, we can have a look at NA. I do think that NA has a big gap still on skill set, right? Let's go here. So guys, they follow the same format that PEC does. PAS is exactly the same. They've already done the grand finals. So they obviously have groups. They go qualifiers, groups. Obviously, last chance to the grand finals. Falcons, no surprise, running through, right? There's no surprise. There is, again, Team Liquid had a little bit of a bad start. No surprise, they made it through on group stage.
Who's that working in silence? Who's that?
Where's this? Working in silence. That's thing.
Oh,
RBM.
Yeah. So for me, I don't,
There's a couple of surprises for me here though in groups, right? I'd expected Sneak to get through, number one. I expected Michael to get through on groups.
Yeah.
I would have put them up there. And I expected Jewel maybe to get through with K-Mines and William the guys, but they just didn't perform in groups, right? I think that was a bit of an eye-opener. I'd actually put Gooners up there as well, because they did play well, right?
Yeah.
So then we went to last chance with them. I didn't get to see all of the games, but I did see
watched it. Yeah.
I watched a lot of the highlights. I watched definitely the last day through. I caught half of day number one. Toya, no surprise, and they played so well.
Yeah.
Wuju played well. Gooners played really well. Empire scraped through at the last of that when they started to split, which is really good. And then it came down to this last section of the teams, right? Jewel just did not perform.
I didn't expect them.
I thought they done well in groups in qualifiers though. Done so well in quals.
Yeah, but their NA qualifiers just whatever. They're all ex-pro players versus people who are just how many teams do they have sign up? Like 40, 30, something like that.
They're
nothing. Unfortunately, they are all like old.
One placement.
I don't want to say washed up, but they're all.
Yeah, but one placement.
It just didn't work. I never expected it to work. K-Mine's been out of the game for years and years. You can't come back and just do good. You know what I mean? But for example, here, Alkadash, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. BCR, good team. Luminosity, not bad. Liquid, Falcons. I would say all of them guys, probably working in silence too, are all equal to the EU teams.
Team Liquid getting through, 100%.
Yeah, and Liquid obviously, but then the rest is just,
You think it's 50-50? I wouldn't. Don't get me wrong. I think Empire shouldn't have gone through to last chance. They should have done better. For me, Gooner's done well. Wuju, I think, should have gone through straight away. It's difficult. I'm not as close to that. I talked to a lot of Gibson about it, and there is a gap.
It's a massive gap compared to EU. Like a massive gap. I think it's night and day difference. I think that most of them teams that if they come to EU, they won't even be, in the group stage. They'll be like bottom 4.
Really?
5, yeah, for sure.
Let me show this last little bit here. It's difficult. But again, you look at the Falcons, etc.
Falcons, Liquid, all them guys equally as good as EU teams. Don't get me wrong. Like, no, I'm not saying them guys are really good. They showed it at LAN, everything. They're really, really good teams. They could easily contend with EU, and that's why they do so well at NA.
I want to talk about this one.
All right. Oh yeah.
What the hell? We had a Godoc ending.
Yep.
So Godoc for me is one of these really random places that it attracts the zone. I think maybe because of the size of it, and obviously it's in the island mass in the north, right? But it normally pulls away from it, like phase 3, phase 4. We normally see the outside of it, but for whatever reason, it remained in, and we got ourselves down to a crazy section. At this point, Esports are a 2-man. There's a lot happening on the south side. but this screams to me pixel moves, mate. I called it because I called it in the green room that they've got to move over. They've got to jump over. Martin said they're going to try and take the fight from here. I was like, they have to jump. And obviously then we come to this shot, and I think they catch half it. What is going on in Pixel's mind? What are you guys talking about?
So I actually told them to play that building because it's overpowered, and then
the one before or this one?
This one where he just jumped from. So I was trying to plan that building and then jump over late game. So they pretty much did that. And then Pixel, we just let them play. You know, once there's 2-man, they just play the game. Pixel's doing Pixel stuff. He just don't care.
Mad.
Let's just be honest. He just don't care. And they ended up closing out this game. Obviously, the high ground, everyone knows if you're in the city, the high ground wins 99.9% of the time. Just the way it goes.
Insane game.
Really fun game. I fed that game fully. But they ended up winning.
It was an insane game. It was a really insane game. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there's a lot of pixelisms in that game.
Pixel's a really, really strong creative player. You know, he'll have bike. For example, in that house, he had like 4 gas cans, I think, set up on the stairs. So if he popped one, it'd go all the way to the bottom. Like, it's unpushable.
We didn't see any of that. That is Pixel.
That is Pixel.
I'm surprised, though, because he was in the glider beforehand.
Yeah.
And he came behind Brex, and I thought, I was going to get like a Top Gun moment.
Yeah,
where he was
that
gonna
would have
be
been sick.
Taking him on. But for some reason, he just didn't take the fight.
Yeah.
Because Brex obviously when you're in the glider, you can't see all the whole way around behind you. You can see like, I'd say 80% of the way. I generally thought he was going to Top Gun him. But that's where you guys unfortunately fell, because he landed on the ground, and then I think the advantage went back to
Braxco hit some shots in 80, and then he had full info.
Oh mate, those glider shots, he hit 3. Yeah. And then you had pressure from the south as well. Total Fire was working their pressure up, and then you guys were just kind of stuck in a hard place. The fact you got in was insane. Well, especially past that, but that's not the same game there. But the fact that you got through was just insane after that. Other takeaways from PEC? Any other final takeaways?
Final takeaways is probably for me, really strong EU region. CIS teams are coming out strong as ever. You know, we got BB, Geek Day. Loads of them, Twisted, Navi. More or less all of the teams now are from CIS region. Yeah. I would definitely say, and I would love everyone's opinion at home, do you think that this year is the hardest, most competitive? Because I certainly do. It's going to be a tough finals, I think.
I think if PEC, yes, the finals are going to be insane. They are going to be tough, and I do wish you the best of luck for that.
Thank you.
I'm glad I'm on the other side of the fence. I think not even just this event, but if this is what the EMEA region has to offer this year, it's going to be tough. We've got an additional slot, but it feels like we needed an additional 10 slots, because there is an argument. I know you was top 8. There's an argument to say even one of those 8 teams could be getting through. It is going to come down to that luck. It's going to come down to a little bit how we play and obviously how the zones unfold.
Well, obviously the groups, I want everyone to understand this as well. The groups play out a little bit differently, because you have a good day one and then you can just troll. Yep. And you just got confidence, you just run at teams, Like, for example, we had 20 points day one, so we had to play serious, where some other teams had 60, 70, and they can just chill and do nothing. So that definitely plays, and that's not the case in finals. Every game has to be good, to qualify. And even if you are under that threshold, say you're like 10th place, one win could put you in an extra few $1,000s, so it makes a big difference.
I generally think we're going to see that, though. I actually think we're going to see the pack really close together.
I think so. I think we might have 1 team or 2 teams that good circles, they're playing insane, they're way out, and then all the rest, we're fighting for that maybe 2nd or 3rd spot, and it's going to be really close.
It is insane. And obviously that does start things off for this year. Obviously then we're going to be going to LAN. I won't be.
Hopefully, please, let me go 1.
It'd be good to see you there, mate.
Let me go 1, please.
I did say, remember we said this before we started doing this, if he does go LAN, I will look at trying to book a ticket out there as a viewer, and we will do one of these.
Yeah, it'd be funny.
Somewhere out there. And then we can bring Pixel in and get him to explain what goes through his mind when he's picking up gas cans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good start. I'm really impressed with PC groups, really impressed with the last chance. There has been some shockers. There's no surprise there. Any major event we have limited spots. I'm super pumped for the finals. I'm on a desk. I'm also casting for it as well. So same team will be doing that, being up from the broadcast side. A big shout out to Blast. Blast is smashing it. Like nothing against the other guys that done it the years before, but I kind of feel like they've ripped up the rule book and they are just trying to bring new content, which I think is really, really cool. So I'm really excited to see what.
So far, thumbs up from me. I would say thumbs up from Blast overall. I think the whole structure of the event has been good. Everything about it's been.
I love they're trolling me
well
as well. They are trolling me hard, mate. There's been a few clown photos. You wait till the next game show, that's even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting lots of fun content to come out of them. Big shout out to PEC Esports as well, doing a lot of the observing. They're doing all the TPP events as well, so really good to see. I'm again super excited for this year already. It has kicked off pretty hard. I think final comments for us. Let's talk about some of the other events. We've got PCPS. We spoke about them. I don't want to go too much to the other regions just yet. Yep. PNC, obviously with performance so far for region, that means there are some potential shake-ups that are coming our way.
If Germany is in PNC, obviously none of that's been announced, what teams are going, whatever, it does mean justice is guaranteed now. So for the German team, obviously Ascend didn't make it, so the top two performers of Ascend, I guess, would go still, and then Justice, and then whoever the third is, which I'm unsure. But PNC, one of them events, which is
and it's
the best.
My favourite event, and the venue is always cool. But it's earlier on this year. It's not later.
Yeah, July. Yeah. I think they announced that it's going to be June or July. Something around there, right?
It's before Esports World Cup, isn't it? So we've got LAN, Break, LAN, PNC, EWC, and then back on the circuits. Super excited. Obviously, there's a load of TPP in between now and then as well. And I think the biggest takeaway for me, yes, you might not like it as a game style, but it is an opportunity for people to play. It is a gateway. I'd love to see a player go into that and get picked up for an FPP team as well. We noticed you in this. You've got the great skill sets to move through. If it happens, I doubt it. I think it is a wider piece that's going to happen over a period of time. Yeah. Last bit, Zem. Player highlights. You need to pick a talent. Who is your pick?
Honestly, right now, you have to pick Levante from GG. He's just been killing everyone.
Agree.
I don't think there's anyone else that you can choose. Obviously, you got Twisted Minds, they're always good, everything like that. But Levante from GG has just been killing absolutely everyone. Scrims, tournament, everything the same.
Yeah, he's definitely on the stats. For me, this is completely different. Quizzy. Do you know why? We had so much fun on the media day. And yes, no one wants to see Quizzy shoot us, right? But he did. But he's just a solid guy. He's just really cool.
Yeah, he is.
He's a really cool guy. Had super fun, super competitive as well. When we did we did get some points in him. He takes us the chump. So yeah, super fun. So yeah, Quizzy's my talent pick of this episode. Obviously, I wish him best luck as well in the finals. Not as much as you, obviously.
Yes, come on.
God, do you know what? I was really worried about him coming to this. In case he didn't get through from the last chance.
I'd have been depressed.
He's going to be a sourpuss. He's going to just be sitting there.
I would have probably been flown to Korea or something.
Everyone's rubbish. They don't deserve to get in. But yeah, no, I've had fun. Mate, best of luck, obviously, for Friday. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, I do wish you guys the best. And obviously, we'll be in the main channel, the PUBG esports channel, and obviously the PUBG channel. And there is so much esports going on at the moment. There are events on it every day at the moment. There is the TPP events that's back on this evening. There is loads on. So actually, I really like that there is so much content. I think that speaks kudos to the amount of people that are now playing PUBG.
Yeah.
They've got their
1 million concurrent the other day, right, for the 8th anniversary. Mad, absolutely crazy.
GG's PUBG. Well done. Yep. Well done. Give us some 8 million amount merch here, like we can put it right here for you guys. Cool, that's it from us. Thank you very much. Obviously, we plan to do the next episode. It will be after, obviously, PEC. We need to try and figure it out if you are going and when we do it. So, obviously, more information to follow. Give us a follow on social media, obviously, at T-Bone and at Mark Powercast. And more importantly, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube to be notified when we do put more content out. I am in 2 minds, and this is a question actually for you guys as well. I am in 2 minds to potentially also live stream these as well, right? Have the capabilities, because we haven't done really much question time from you guys and girls out there, but I think potentially as we record, we can also have the option to live stream. So let us know what your thoughts are when it comes down to live streaming these, or maybe live streaming the first half and then cutting it for the second half, so you have to go watch it. I'm really, really intrigued. Let us know what your thoughts are. Apart from that, I'll see you guys later. Peace.